Warm welcome to you wherever you are in every corner of this country and in this world. We know you watch PACIS TV from every continent of this world. So hello, a big hello. So as usual, this is my home show. It is actually your show, which I believe you love so much. Today we are going to talk about church and education. It is going to be hot. We are with a guest from a very, very reputable and the best university in this in Africa. So he's going to share with us the experience about how you can the right path in education, how you should join an institution, a university, to make sure that you stick on the Christian values. So my name is Feribie Hirwatuzayisenga, and my guest today is Father Peter Akamba Nema Aboki. He's from Makerere University, the university which is celebrating this year. Is going to celebrate the 100 years of existence. Father, welcome to our show, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here in this studio. Your studio is so nice, so wonderful, so appetizing. Okay,
good. Thank you very much. It is a blessing to have you in our studio, in our show, because we are going to talk about an important topic, church and education, why Catholic education. But before we get into our discussions of today, I want to tell you that Reverend Father Dr. Prof. Peter Akamba Nema Aboki, yes, he has been in this domain of education as professor 22 years ago. Father, how this journey looks like? Generally speaking, you have been in this domain 22 years ago. So tell us about yourself.
Okay, I think you want me to tell you who I am. First and foremost, Reverend Father Dr. Professor Nema Akamba Aboki. Here in Kigali, I'm known as Winem.
Winema. Very nice.
I was ordained priest on the 11th of August, 1990, that is 32 years ago. And I'm a professor of higher education management and administration, human resource management in education, educational policy and planning, educational foundations, and curriculum studies. You have mentioned Makerere. Yes, I'm known as the founding dean at the East African School of Higher Educational Studies and Development. That's in the College of Education and External Studies at Makerere, where I've also held other positions as director, as head, as coordinator of graduate programs. And I have served as a professor of business and management, doubling as a dean at Uganda Technical and Management University, known as UTAM. I am an educationist, trained at postgraduate level. And now for 22 years, have lectured in several universities. And I was also dean at Victoria University, and I have served as a honorary lecturer at Imbara University of Science and Technology, and I'm an external examiner in several universities, national, regionally, and internationally. I'm also a reviewer at several international fora and member of several international technical committees. I have presented academic papers and delivered keynote addresses at several international conferences and summits. And my research delves into issues encompassing managerial disciplines with a specific focus on quality assurance. I am an editor-in-chief of International Journal of Progressive and Alternative Education, which is based in Nigeria. I'm editor of Quality Assurance in Higher Education in Eastern and Southern Africa, Regional and Continental Perspectives. That's a book that was published by Taylor and Francis Routledge last year in August. I'm also co-editor of Innovating Higher Education, and I've rendered editorial services at the Al Mazrui Center of Higher Education Studies at the University of Johannesburg in South Africa, where I was a 2018 postdoctoral research fellow. And earlier on, when a student in Nairobi, I was a co-editor and designer of Fields Afar magazine. And I'm now prospective editor of Quality Assessment and Enhancement in Higher Education in Africa, which is to be published just this year in September, on the 2nd of September, also by Taylor and Francis Routledge, UK and USA. And I'm also prospective editor of some other 2 books which are in the offing. Allow me also to tell you that I'm an academic associate at the University of South Africa, known as UNISA. And I have served as an external quality assurance expert for programs review at the National Council for Higher Education in Namibia.
Wow.
That's the little that I am.
Just wow. I can say that we have the right person in the right show. So don't go far from your screens because now we are going to talk about a very important topic, church and education. We are talking about formal education. Then beyond that, why Catholic education? His father, and it has been the domain for the last 22 years. It is not something little. So for my side, and I think for on your side, we've got a lot to learn from his experience. So once again, welcome to our show. But before we get to the real topic, let me ask a funny question. What is your favorite name?
Yeah,
you like being called who? Yeah.
When I'm in Kigali, it must be Winema.
Winema. Thank you so much. So we are with the Father, Reverend Father Dr. Prof. Winema. Yeah. So there is a time, sometimes back, Bishop Soto is a bishop of Sacramento, diocese, Catholic diocese in Sacramento. This is in California, in the United States of America. So sometimes ago, he was also in this show, in another show like this one. They were talking about education and the church. Then somewhere he talked about education and the church. If you don't mind, I quote him: knowing the Lord Jesus, working with him, studying with him, serving with Christ, and sharing the table of the Lord Jesus is what prepares a person to be his witness. His with capital. His witness to the world. This is his own words. His Excellency Jamie Soto, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sacramento. How would you relate this to formal education we are talking about now, or the Catholic education?
Your question is very nice and very large. You have elaborated, you say, his witness, capital H.
Yes, capital H.
He's the king. Because he's referring to God. You know?
Yes,
Jesus,
God, yes. Yeah.
Jesus, the second person of the Blessed Trinity. So he has to be capital. Capital. Even if the word is in the middle.
Yeah.
Because you are referring to God.
Yes, that's right.
But now, before coming directly to your question, you said the topic is church and education, and why Catholic education?
Yes.
First of all, we need to understand two words there. There is the variable church, and there is also education, and specifically Catholic education. First of all, talking about the church, we have to know that there is what is known as the marks of the church. The marks of the church. That is one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. And then the mission of the church is the mission of Christ. And the mission of Christ can be summarized under three domains. Mission of preaching, mission of teaching, and mission of healing. You can know that when the missionaries came, they made sure there was a church, there was a school, there was a hospital. To serve a complete person, a person in his completeness. Okay. But now the church, first of all, we know that the largest Christian, the Catholic Church, is the largest Christian church. Christian church, because we know we have other people who follow Christ, other churches that follow Christ. That's why he said the largest Christian church, not so. And it has 1.3 billion baptized Catholics worldwide.
Yes, actually that is
2019.
Actually that is the 17 according to the report I read recently. It is actually 17 point something % of the total population of the world.
Yes, currently.
Yeah, currently.
Then you are vast. That means you are very current. And that's why you are fit to be in this place.
Yeah.
You are vast. You see, you talk current. Okay. And of course the church, the Catholic Church, has played a prominent role in the history and development of Western civilization. So when you talk of education, it comes from West, Western civilization. Now your question, there is the word knowing, walking, studying, serving, sharing, then witnessing to Christ. And he said, how would I relate to the other question of that great man there? How would I relate this to formal education and Catholic education? Formal education or Catholic education. Also here we need to understand two realities. There is formal education and there is also a Catholic education, judging from what you have asked. Now you see here, first and foremost as Christians, and the mission of the church is discipleship. They say we are full of Christ. We are disciples of Christ. And that's, by the way, that's what it means to be a Christian. It means to be Christ-like.
To follow.
Exactly. That's the church. But then again, when you come to education, first of all, we better begin from the etymology. Etymology means the root meaning. Where does the word education come from? In fact, it comes from Latin words, in fact, two. There's educare and educere. Educare means to rear, like you rear rabbits.
A rabbit, yeah.
To rear.
Or a goat.
You are rearing a person, exactly. So now education, you are rearing a person, molding a person.
And that is educare.
Yes, educare, rearing a person to be a good Christian and a good citizen.
A good citizen.
Educare. But the other one is educere. Educere means to lead. To lead to somewhere, and to lead from the roots. Leading somewhere.
Like Moses led.
I'm very happy you're putting the right, you're putting everything in the right perspective. And then now we have to establish that education goes beyond the four walls of the classroom. Yeah, it's not limited there. And it's a gradual process that brings positive changes in a human person's life and behavior. A change, Change is very, very important. No, in educational management, there is what is known as entrepreneurship. That means that is active resistance to change. Some people resist change. But now, positive change in a person, you are a better person today than you are yesterday, better person tomorrow than you would have been today. So that is positive change. And so education then is the passage to progress. Passage to progress, a movement towards a refined, improved or desired state of a human being. But now you also have talked, but you specifically you have talked about formal education. Formal. Now, what is formal education? And by the way, there are also other types. There's, when you talk of formal, there's also informal
education. That's right.
And non-formal. But we may not indulge ourselves into all those. But now talking about the formal education is the education as we know it's structure. Structured system, running from primary and in some countries from nursery. Going through university or other tertiary institutions. You know, we talk about the university and other tertiary institutions, but there are other institutions which are at that level. Tertiary from Latin tertiary means third. That third level. Those include specialized programs for vocational, technical, and professional training. So now this formal education is the kind that is based on a set of curriculum. A set of curriculum, not so. And it is also called structured learning, or synchronous learning. Those are the terms you can use. And examples here include classroom instruction, web-based training, remote laboratories, e-learning courses or programs, workshops, seminars, webinars, you know, these days we are going that far. And then this formal education has got characteristics. One is learning in the classroom environment. Then the certification of schools, in terms of people get certificates, or diplomas, degrees. So we can say that is planned education with different subjects and different syllabus. You see that? And now I said there is also informal and non-formal. But without having to indulge ourselves, we have to know that all education is important. How is it important? It schools us. We are schooled. We become scholars. And by the way, when you construe the word scholar, the first S, that is smart. Smart. You know, to become smart. Smart not necessarily only in dressing, but even the way you walk, the way you talk as someone who is schooled, not so. Smart, that is the S. But the C is character. Character formation. Or we are clear in what we do. The character is so discreet, not so. Then the H, that where people are honest. Honest. And O, obedient, no? Obedient, first of all, to God. Obedient to our leaders, for example, in our country here. Obedient to the parents, for the children. That is also there within education, you see. And there is L. We are loyal. Loyal in what we do. Loyal. Why loyal? Because we are learning. Not so. But then there is A, scholar A, that's what we do. Anything to do with being active. Active in what we do. And then R, responsible. You are responsible people. But then also we have to realize that there is a difference between being learned and being educated. Someone may be learned but is not educated also. Learned because she has gone to school. But the behavior is uncouth. So then that person is not educated. You see the word education is from the Latin, as I have already mentioned, the etymology, you know? Educare, to reign, somewhere. Yes. Yeah, and educere, to read. Exactly. But no, very important. But coming out specifically on Catholic education. First of all, we know that the Catholic Church, when I talk about the marks of the Church, one of the marks is that the Catholic Church is universal. And so the education, the Catholic education is universal. Universal meaning it embraces everybody. Do not say this is a Catholic, it's not a Catholic. It is Catholic education, but rearing everybody. No, so. And so, as we know very well, that the Catholic Church has profound influence, has had a profound influence on Western philosophy, on culture, on art, on music, and on science. The Catholic Church has had that influence. So now we go to Catholic education. Why? Because of the roots. This is the education which comes from an intellectual heritage. Intellectual heritage in the universal and local context. And that's the heritage that contains the repository of theological thought, philosophizing, devotional practices, work of literature, and more. Also, this visual art, music and drama, studies of architecture, jurisprudential principles, social theorizing, works of astronomy, rich trace of human intellection and creativity, and other forms of cultural expression that exist in the different parts of the world. The Catholic Church has influence on all. The Catholic education. You might wish to ask another question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very important. Thank you very much for shedding light on Catholic education, because many of us have been asking such question: why education, Catholic education, church and education? Yeah, though, as you said, they are intertwined. Yeah, you said that actually, according to what you just said, the church, Catholic Church, has been playing a prominent role in this domain. Again, you said educare is a good thing to rear. It's like to rear a child to become a very important person, and also educare to lead. Yeah, this is very important. But again, I think there is someone who is watching now, and he's very, very curious about, yes, still on this point about Catholic education. So why should we call it or brand it Catholic education? Yet we have national programs, we have national curricula. Let's say in this country, I know in Uganda there is a Muslim university, there is a Matters Christian university. So why should we brand it Catholic?
Yeah, interesting question. Why should we brand it Catholic?
Yeah. Because according to what you said, already the education itself is embedded. Yeah.
Now, on this question, it has been from the point that the church is mater et magistra. It is mother and teacher.
Mother and teacher.
The Catholic Church is mother and teacher, and now this was I borrowed them from the encyclical of Pope John the 23rd, who is now a saint. And this was an encyclical on Christianity and social progress. So the church is mother and teacher. And so this church has a perennial and indispensable role. Without whose acknowledgement, one cannot conceive the traditions of education. You remember I talked about the rich heritage, So in the world, you have to go back to that. The church mother, the traditions of education. And so then maintaining a Catholic identity in educational institutions demands bringing together the claims of culture and the claims of God in teaching, in learning, in research, and in publications. And so it is therefore significant to note that beyond the government, the Catholic Church is a single largest provider of education in post-colonial Africa, for instance. And so Catholic education in Africa, since we're in Africa, let us talk about Africa specifically, it stands a significant instrument. It stands as a significant instrument for alternative approaches to human and cultural development. I don't know if I've answered you.
Very important. I'm not yet very convinced, but yeah, thank you. But again, let me ask this question. Earlier you said that Catholic Church means universal. And again you said mother and a teacher. But if someone just comes across with the word Catholic education, same person may think that maybe this education is meant for Catholic believers only, or it is a faith-based education. So we want you to convince us, how would you explain the church's universality in this, or the inclusiveness? If we are to call it Catholic education.
Yes. Now you say people might think it's just for Catholics.
Yes, only. Yeah. Which means that maybe the person, if he joins the school, yes, he will be forced to be baptized.
Yeah, that will be meant to be baptized, and
and so forth.
And so forth.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, like a story. Some student was in a school and failed to do well. They said, no, let us transfer him to a Catholic school. So in the Catholic, the boy performed very well. But when he was asked, what led you to perform? He said, you see, I saw in the class, I was seeing a process, someone is hanged. And I thought if I don't perform well, I will be hanged. So that became a motivation, you see. So now we're talking about the universality and inclusiveness of Catholic education.
Yeah, because it is universal.
Yes. Thank you very much.
And mother and teacher.
Mother and teacher. Yes, now besides what I've already said, we have to acknowledge that the Catholic educational institutions are in constant dialogue with the entire community. And the entire community means what? There's no segregation. This is a man, this is a woman, this is a tall, this one is handsome, the other one is ugly, the other one is non-Catholic. No. Community. In fact, the word community is from Latin. Communis, which means to establish a commonness. So the Catholic Church is in constant dialogue with the entire community, and therefore the Catholic institutions, the Catholic education. And so, that is to say that Catholic education should not be a closed model. Closed model. Just an island. But it should be in a mode of the outgoing church. Outgoing, going outside oneself. The church that has a missionary impulse. Missionary, also from Latin, missus, which means to be sent. You are sent for the people. And these people, you don't segregate. So the people, you see. Now, one issue here is, we call it Catholic education and whatever, and then it is given to everybody. It's because of the Catholic principles and values that this education has for Catholic principles and values. Now, for example, the Catholic philosophy of education, Catholic education philosophy, reveals a concern for an education that combines sound knowledge and skills. It has an overall personal development rooted in Christian values. Development of the person rooted in Christian values. And such an education involves a high level of interpersonal relationships. Interpersonal. That relations with others. And by the way, that's why, and this interpersonal relationship, in this case, is not only concerned with the teacher and the students, but also with, that's why you have the word ecumenism. We talk about ecumenism. Now, this word ecumenism is from, two Greek words, oikos nomos, that we have the same house. Or we are under the same rule, under the same sense of direction. You see that? But then again, we can quote St. John, Pope John Paul II, now saint.
Yeah, he's a saint.
And I remember he came here.
Yeah, he visited us.
He was in Kabwe. And the cardinal here was ordained by him. The cardinal was ordained priest by Saint. Pope John.
It's a blessing to Rwanda.
Yes, and this is a man whom I touched 2 times. I will not give you the details. But now this man spelled out some key implications for teachers that work in Catholic schools. And this he did in his address to Catholic educators in September. The date was 12th. 12th September 1994. Yeah? Now, he said educators must be open to new cultural influences. Open to new cultural influences. You are not closed, you see. Open to the new culture. Because you know, if you are not open, you will not be able to discern what is right there and what is wrong there. So be open and interpret these changes, these influences to the younger people in the light of Christian faith. That's a requirement of Catholic education, not so. So because you have to bring professional competency to the people who are being taught, professional competency and a high standard of excellence. So in other words, you have to go beyond, you have to go beyond professional skills and competence, not so. And that you as a teacher, you must be like a window, an open window, which brings in the sun, the light of the sun and the warmth of the sun into the house. And all these also are the students also. So, because you have to make the students see and know the richness and the joy of life. You know, I told you when I was giving them mnemonics about being a scholar, if you recall what I said. But now here, that this richness and joy of Christian life should be lived in accordance with Christ's teaching and his challenging demands. And then he said, I'm still quoting the Pope, he said, to teach means that you must reveal to the students through the example of your life. So living what you believe. So now, in other words, that a Catholic teacher is expected to, a Catholic teacher employed, no, a teacher employed in Catholic schools must have the requirements. The first requirement, by the way, is that you are qualified as required by the state authorities. You must be qualified as required by the government here, Rwanda government. Your qualification must match what the country expects. That's the first thing. You must be qualified according to the requirements of the state. Then you must be committed to regular ongoing professional development. You see, in education, in higher education, for example, in university education, we talk about professional development. Professional development means what? That you undergo some courses, no? Even by the way, when you go for a conference, just you attend a conference, that's a professional development. Because there is something that you learn. So you must be committed to continuous learning. You see that? And that then you must respect the Catholic educational philosophy of the school. Catholic educational philosophy of the school. You see that? And you must develop and maintain adequate understanding of the aspect of Catholic teaching. Aspect of Catholic teaching within your subject area. If you are teaching biology, what are the expectations of Catholicity as you teach? And then, that by being an exemplar, as I have already mentioned, you should strive to inculcate in the students an appreciation and acceptance of Christian teaching and values. You see?
Yeah.
So those are requirements. Then also to avoid by word and example and non-lifestyle any influence that may lead the students astray. Any influence that is contrary to the teaching and values of the church. You see that? You can take an example. There are some influences out there in Europe, in USA, which are not compatible with our African way of understanding. You see? So those are expectations of. But then again, this very man, this very saint, now that he was addressed, but now also when talking about the Catholic University now, since I'm from a university, let me talk also about the university. Also.
Yes.
Now, talking about the Catholic University, he said the Catholic University has a privileged task.
Privileged task.
Privileged task. To do what? To unite existentially by intellectual efforts to two orders of reality. Two orders of reality, and which are these ones? The first one is the search for the truth, search. And the certainty of what is already known as the font of truth. You see? And so, he says, it is the honor and responsibility of a Catholic university to consecrate itself without reserve to the cause of truth. And by the way, we have several universities Catholic. But for example, in Kenya, there's the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Their motto is consecrate them in the truth.
Wow.
And that is in John. Consecrate them in the truth. And so, the Pope continues, John Paul, saying that by so doing, then you are doing service to the dignity of the human person and the good of the church. And so when you talk of the good of the church, also you are meaning the good of the society. Then he also talks about knowledge and reason as sure ministers of faith. Knowledge and reason, you see, those have to go together. Knowledge and reason. Even if faith has to go with knowledge, has to go with reason. In fact, in one of the subjects in theology, we talk about fides querens intellectum. Faith seeking understanding. Understanding. Yeah, it's not to be faith. There's also what we call obedientia cerca, where you just follow without understanding. Fides querens, but also we have Saint Anselm. Saint Anselm talks about intelligo ut credam, credo ut intelligam. Intelligo ut credam. I understand so that I may believe. No, I believe so that I may understand. Then I understand so that I may believe more. So those have to be there. So that's the work of the Catholic University towards its educants, the people that it teaches. And then, of course, this one doesn't mean that the other levels of education are not embraced, must embraced, because the Catholic Church is distinguished, first of all, by her free search for the whole truth. And that's the truth about nature, about the human person, about God. The truth. So this education has to serve the proclamation of the meaning of truth, and to do it for the sake of human dignity. Human dignity. But then also we, following the same man here, when he talks about research, this research will be on all aspects of truth. In the essential connections. Connection with the supreme truth.
With the capital.
Yes, and this supreme truth is Nyagasan.
Yeah, is Nyagasan.
Nyagasan. Katonda. Uhoraho.
Katonda wanji.
Yes. Okay, then, but of course, then the teaching should be within the footsteps of one who is the way, the truth, and the life. And that is Jesus, no?
Yes.
That's the Logos. Logos, in theology, we talk of Logos. Logos means Greek, meaning the word. Jesus, who is the word, and the one who gives wisdom. And of course, he does it by utilizing the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, he said he's the truth and the way.
Yeah, the truth, the way, and the life. And so then the philosophy of the Catholic University, for instance, is derived from the Christian ideal of a human person. Christian ideal of a human person, and is committed to the total development of students through what it teaches, what the university teaches, the education. And of course, this teaching, by the way, must be within the Catholic tradition. Catholic tradition, you cannot just say, we just teach things as I want. And therefore, also, this teaching should be within a stimulating environment. Stimulating environment. And now, in this case, then, education should aim at developing an individual. It's to combine career competence. Should combine also a sense of moral responsibility. Moral responsibility. Imbued with a virtue of being innovative, but in facing challenges in the contemporary world.
This is the most thing that I like when I about to host a professor, because when they receive an invitation, they document. they read the books, they have references, so it is a good, because personally I'm learning now, and I'm learning Latin. So we are now looking at church and education. Why Catholic education? So we are with the Father Nema, whereby he's just talking about this topic, and he's sharing very, very insightful words. So, Father, somewhere you said about the requirements. The philosophy, to implement this philosophy, the huge responsibility is just under the full control, or under the responsibilities of teachers. Somewhere you said that a teacher must fulfill the requirements. Do you think being a Catholic should be one of the requirements you talked about?
Being a Catholic? You mean in order to teach in a Catholic school?
Yes.
You know?
Why? Because they are the ones who knows. They know the language that Catholics speak. So why shouldn't be part of the requirement?
Maybe if may have understood your question. You mean that not to teach in a Catholic school, one must be a Catholic?
A Catholic, yeah.
No.
Okay.
But in other places, by the way, they will first consider your religion. If it is a Muslim school, they must know whether you are a Muslim.
Yes.
If it is a Protestant, they will first know. But the Catholic Church has always been generous.
Generous.
And I would imagine it is the same here in Rwanda. I would imagine you'll find someone who is not Catholic but is teaching in there. But then it should follow those requirements, as I mentioned, quoting John Paul II, now saint.
Yes.
Yes, you are obliged to follow those. Yeah, don't say. You know, there's what we call the not invent in management. We talk about the not invented here syndrome. Where someone says, for me, this one, for me, I'm from elsewhere, where these things are not cultivated. Therefore, I must act in the same way.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, oh, thank you very much. You know, actually, the education, when we're talking about education, it's a huge domain whereby all involved partners should play equally their roles and responsibilities. We're talking about teachers, but now let's look at the side of parents. Here in Kigali, I don't know whether it is also the same case in outside this country, but here in Rwanda, when it is time to look for schools, you'll see parents are running and trying to register their children into schools, Catholic schools. So why do you think parents take such a decision to take their children into Catholic schools?
Why do you think parents? Now you want to answer something to do with the parents.
According by experience.
And the parents have got their own reason, you see. And the reason of one parent may be different from there. But now what you say is every year around this time we always have that problem. People come to me wanting me to take them to Catholic schools. For example, like Namugongo, is one of the good Catholic schools. We have several others, Namagung and so forth. But people are always on me to take their children to Namugongo. And I've done it several times, and I'm happy about it. And also because, the question of friendship can also come in. The headmaster there is also my friend. And he's my student. I taught him the university. So he always have a soft spot for me. He gives me places. But of course, the students must have performed very well. So if someone asks me, I would first of all know how it was the performance. But then I take them there. Not so. But now your question is, why is it that the parents want to choose Catholic schools for their children? In fact, I can summarize it in only 2 words. Because you said from experience, and which may not be the experience of the parents themselves. But the 2 things. The first one, that in the Catholic school, there is what we call uncompromising moral values, uncompromised moral values. That's one. But then now the second thing I can talk about is the issue of discipline. Uncompromised values and discipline. I think the parents, that must be the underlying reason, those 2 why they want to take their children to Catholic schools. Remember the church is mater et magistra, mother and teacher. Mother and teacher. Yes. Yeah, very important. It is. And now we are talking about the responsibilities of different partners in the education. We were talking about teachers and parents. Now let's look at the side of students. There is a report recently published and shows that the most students who performed well were from the Catholic schools. So, Father, why do you think Catholic students or graduates, they are stand out? So what that makes them to stand out? Do you mean those students, those graduates who are Catholic, or those who have studied from Catholic schools? From Catholic schools. Again it comes to those 2 issues, moral values and discipline. Moral values and discipline. Now, for example, I know some secondary schools where you find with children of prominent people, and these prominent people may not be Catholics, but they bring them. Even I know of a child of a president who studied from a Catholic school, and the president is not Catholic. So I think it must be a question of discipline. But then again, here when you talk of discipline, the person also has to have personal discipline. There is a need for education of the self, education of the character. There may be discipline, but the student is not disciplined, has no character, then things may not go okay. So that is also necessary. But now here there is the importance of the indispensability of the foundation. Now, this school, what is the foundation? So now, in our case, it's Catholic foundation. I don't mean that others are not strong. To have a strong house, you have to have a strong foundation. So, but also we know that there's a strong foundation in the Catholics, without negating other schools, other education institutions. There's also foundation. But now there's also this kind of foundation. So now about talking about secondary schools, that prominent people bring their students. But now if I may also talk about the university, I can give you an example. I can compare 2 universities in Uganda. I can compare Makerere University, which is a public university, state university. But then there's also one other university called UMU. That's Uganda Matters University. That's Catholic. And we also have other universities which are faith-based. We have several. But now if I may talk about UMU itself, it has been said, I don't know whether it is still a story, in terms of industry, that if 2 people go looking for a job, one studied from Makerere, another studied from Uganda Matters, the people are quick to take the one who came from Uganda Matters. I don't know whether it is still a reality now. I have not followed it up, but I know it was a reality sometime. that a student who has been at Uganda Martyrs University is given a job very quickly and leaving out these other students who study from Makerere. No? But now, if we come back here at home in Rwanda, we have universities here. We have the University of Rwanda, for example. It used to be NU. Yes. I know I did my research there in Butare when it was still NU. And I also did research at Kabwai, university which is Catholic. Yeah, but we have other Catholic universities. There's the one in Butare, Kabwai, and many other places. And by the way, I would love to come and work in those universities. If I'm given a chance, I would love to come and work in those Catholic universities. And also at UR, if you're given a chance, also.
Yes.
So maybe you will stay here. Maybe there's a way you compare these universities with others. So that's your own experience. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. And also, in addition to that, is that even there is another Catholic university in Northern Province, and Ines, and I remember the statistics of 2021, the national university ranking. It was the first.
That one in Ruhengeri?
Private, yeah.
The one in Ruhengeri?
Yeah, the one in Ruhengeri. So it is was the first ranking, university ranking. Yeah,
great.
National. So you see, what
you mean all the universities in Rwanda?
In Rwanda, yeah, private, private universities.
Leaving out the UR.
Yeah, leaving out the UR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so was the first one.
Yeah,
so
no, you have many universities. Even there's one in Byumba also.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
What about Kibungo?
And Kibungo also.
Yeah, I've visited it there. Yeah. So that is service to the community, no? That the Catholic Church is serving and maintaining the status quo.
Yeah, the static.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Now, we talked about teachers, parents, students. Let's now look at the package itself. Father, what makes the package, the Catholic education, it is special? Why? Is there an additional package? Maybe you talked about it, but now let's look at it specifically.
Additional package to the curriculum?
Yeah, to the curriculum, which makes it Catholic education to be special.
Is there additional? Like, for example, when you have eaten matoke, you also want to eat sweet potatoes as something additional.
Yes.
Now, what I can say about this question, very important question, very important. Now, I can say now that the Catholic Church has adherence to traditions, and yet take into account the signs of the time. Now, when we talk of tradition, the tradition, what's the tradition? Tradition from the Latin word tradere. Tradere. Which means by the roots, you see. And by the way, it is said, something cannot claim to be a tradition unless it has existed for 40 years. Before you have 40 years, you cannot claim to have a tradition. Yeah, you know, we have tradition, we have culture. Also, by the way, culture is from Latin cultus, which means to cultivate, no? Cultivate. You see, the Catholic Church has adherence to traditions, and it also takes into account the signs of the time, the changes, what are coming in the world. So how do I address this? How do I address this? But then maybe to go specifically, I can also quote for you. I can cite a document. The Catholic you can find it in Vatican Council documents. It is known as Gravissimum Educationis. Gravissimum Educationis is a declaration on Christian education. It was issued on October 25th, 1965. You see, that's a long time. So that document is a foundation of all the other documents. It's a seminal document for all subsequent documents on Catholic education. And it talks about the extreme importance of education in the life of a person. In fact, it has 7 mind-shift principles of Christian education, which are not indulged into them. But just by mentioning, there is the principle of aligning vision and action. You see, I was reading about your vision here. I read your vision and your mission. For me, whenever I go anywhere, those are the first things I look for.
Okay.
I saw it there. Vision and action. And you know, vision is where you intend to go. The mission is what you have been sent to do. What makes you different? For example, a university, what makes this university different from the other? That's the mission. But then vision, where are you heading to? So the principle are to align vision and action. Those are two things I may not elaborate. But then there's also principle number 2, which is about journey-mindedness. Journey-mindedness, no? How do you move? For example, like it is said that walking is not a question of lifting a leg after another. Because even camels do that. So that now, that when you walk in a way that you leave spectators spellbound. Journey-mindedness, you see. Then there's also a principle about the student as image bearer. No? What image does a student carry around? Is there an image that reflects the good name of the school? Or not? Then it also talks about the principle of beautiful work. The beauty of work. In fact, this one is from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. Where St. Paul says, "For we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good work, which God prepared in advance as a way of life." And so that's one of the principles when you talk about the 7 mind-shift principles of Christian education. But there's also a principle about love of the neighbor. Love of the neighbor, you see, that is also very, very much cultivated even in our society here. Not so, Then diversity, inclusiveness, and justice. You are talking about the inclusivity of the education. So that is also one of the principles on diversity, inclusion, and justice. But then there's also about the principle number 7, which is on hope over fear. Hope over fear. But now if I may give you a summary, just to give you a summary of this document. The summary is that education is extremely important in the life of a person. And therefore, the church should foster it. The church should foster this. And by so doing, the church will be fulfilling the mandate. The mandate of proclaiming the mystery of salvation and of restoring all things in Christ. In fact, there was a pope whose motto was "Instaurar omnia in Cristo," to restore everything in Christ. That's one. The importance of life of a person. Then the fact that education is an inalienable right, a right that cannot be taken away from someone. And that's why you see these days we have universal primary education, universal secondary education, because of the right, inalienable right. And that now, this right also, in that church, the church must keep with the ultimate goal. And this goal is formation of the human person. So that the person is complete. The person is formed completely, and this is formed completely in pursuit of the ultimate end. Ultimate end when your life is gone from here. But also for the good of the society, because you know, if a child has not gone through education, even home education, this child can be a thief. In the society, it can be a nuisance, not so. And so then here, the document again talks about the family, which you asked me about. Says that the family serves as the first school of social virtues in every society. So the family has it to teach the students to love of the neighbor. And by the way, also in theology, the family is called a miniature church. miniature church, where the church begins from. So, and therefore the family should be both a school and a church. A school to teach the customs of the people. For example, here, the parents at home should teach the customs of the Banyarwanda. That should be first and foremost the work of the parents. But the problem, some parents leave their children to outside, to schools, to these girls who work inside the house, these housemaids. And these people sometimes teach wrong things to the children. So the family is both a school and a church where people learn about the mores of the society and also where they learn about God. And then the document also talks about the state. The state. That the state is to protect the right of parents. The right of parents. And to give the parents true freedom in educating their children. But then that this education should be done following the principle of subsidiarity. They work together. The parents have their part to play, and the state has a part to play. And of course the church has a part to play. Also. And then the book also talks about moral, I talked about moral values. Moral and religious education. Moral and religious education. We should prepare students to be good workers. Good workers here in this earthly city and to the service of the kingdom. And this should be reflected at all levels, from elementary school to higher, to the highest levels of education, for example, to universities and so forth. That's why even I talk about the university there, in line with what the Pope said. So that's what I can say about that question. I don't know that I may not have exhausted it.
No, it's fine. Yes, I really like the principles you stated. It's very important. Somewhere you said about the love of the neighbor. You know, a child is born from a family, from a community, from a society, from a country. Yeah, then the community sends the child to school, and they are expecting to see the children coming back with a package. So what do you think is the advantage of Catholic schools for the church? That's one. Community members, that's two. And society in general.
Oh, your question is nice, very inclusive, Talk about the church.
Yeah, the church, the community, and the society in general.
Yeah, and the community, you mean the nearby. The
nearby, the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because in African culture, actually, when you are in the family, the neighborhood is actually the extended family. So they know when you are born, they know when you are going to school, they know when you are coming back. So they're like extended family in Africa.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's why I said, yeah, a child is born and sent to, and the community expects the child to come back with a package.
Yes, so the advantage of Catholic schools for the church, for the community,
and for the society.
Yeah, now talking about the advantage, then you have to talk about the task of the Catholic school. What is the task of the Catholic school? Like I was talking about your vision and mission.
And mission.
Yeah, what is the task of the Catholic school? That's where we have to begin from. Now, the task of a Catholic school is fundamentally a synthesis of two things: culture and faith. That's one. Secondly, it's a synthesis of faith and life. Culture and faith. Faith and life. Now, culture and faith. This is reached by integrating all different aspects of human knowledge through the subjects that are taught. And these subjects taught are taught in the light of the gospel. The light of the gospel. Then the second issue is faith and life. Ubuzima bwacu. Now, faith and life has to be reached within growth of the virtues characteristic of a Christian. Growth of the virtues characteristics of a Christian. No? You are looking at the virtues. What virtues are being prepared by the church? That's what I can. But I can also add some other one thing. Is Catholic Church, and of course all education, but now talking about specifically Catholic education. Teaches the 3H, this H, the 3H. And which is the 3H? The head.
The hand, I think, is
the heart.
Yes.
And what you have already mentioned.
Yes.
The
hand.
The hand, yeah. Yes. Now the head is something to do with intellection, knowledge that you require in order to be of service to the society. That's one. But then the heart, character, also. What kind of person are you? Are you a good citizen? Are you a good munyagihugu? Are you a good mwenegihugu?
That is a citizen. Are you a good citizen? Are you a good what else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you a good citizen of the country, for example, our country here? Take an example here, there is what we call umuganda. So when it is time for umuganda, do you participate?
You fully participate, because there are some who just go there for listening radio, listening to different news from community members. So do you participate actively?
Actively. Do you see value in it? Okay. Character. Then hand.
How do you implement?
How do you implement? How do you serve? You serve the society. Urakoze cyane.
Urakoze cyane webare nyo. Thank you so much.
Urakoze cyane. I'm not trying to stop you from asking. But I'm thanking you because your questions are so so nice.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know how time of a professor is precious. So actually having a professor for more than 50 minutes, it's already.
Have we been here for 50 minutes already?
More than 50 minutes, yeah. Oh. So it is a blessing to us, to the PACIS TV and the audience, and also the country in general, because we are discussing about a crucial topic: education, church and education. They are intertwined, according to what he explained. So I think now I can say that the choice is very, very clear. I may take this time to invite the Catholic universities, Catholic schools, wherever you are. Please come to us, come to PACIS TV, so that we can take your message to the wide range of audience. So please come, don't hesitate, come and contact us. So coming to the end of our show, I may remind you that he said that actually the school, he talked about a lot, and I think we learned much from what he explained. But what I may remind you is that we go to school to become very, very important to our community, to our church, our society in general. He said that a school actually is like an acronym for the following words, whereby S stands for smartness in what we do, how we think, how we act, how we socialize with others, and then C stands for character. Then H stands for honest, and O obedient, then L loyal. So briefly, this is all about attending a Catholic school. You are expected to be the smart person with a good character, honest, obedient, and loyal to the church members, community members, and the society in general. And responsible. Thanks so much. So let me take this opportunity to I thank you very much for your time. It is a blessing, like I said. So thank you very much, Father Neema, for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, and also thanks so much for your time. To take time to watch this show. It is also an opportunity for us, and also I remind those who are watching via YouTube and who are not yet subscribed, please hit that button, the subscribe button, so that we can become one family. We are universal. Yes, like Father said, a mother and teacher. So please hit that button of subscribe. So stay blessed, stay safe. See you next time.